Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Blind Spots. It's been a little while since we've done Blind Spots. It's been like a month or something, so we kind of turned it into more of a monthly show. So we are back, and tonight we're going to be talking about Pulp Fiction. It's my first time watching it. Obviously, that's kind of how Blind Spots goes. It's my first. Whenever I watch something for the first time, then we'll jump on and we'll do a little review of it. And joining me today, I got my co-host from uh, coming all the way from Jackrabbit Slims. We got Austin Pez
hmm
Howell. How's it going?
Hey, Jordan, do you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France?
No, no. What did they call
They call it
it?
a royale with cheese.
Ah, okay. Royale with cheese. Nice. Right
Yeah.
on. Nice, nice.
Nice to see you,
Yeah,
man. It's good to be here. Yeah, another episode of Blind Spots. We're trying to fill in those movie gaps for Jordan, stuff he hasn't seen. So yeah, with this one, we're going early Tarantino. There's a few of these you haven't seen, right, Jordan? Of
yeah,
early Tarantino.
yeah. I haven't seen a lot of early Tarantino. I've seen a lot of his more recent stuff, but not the early stuff. Yeah, so I'm kind of
Yeah,
going back.
so we still got to get to Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown and Kill Bill 1 and 2. Yeah, we'll get those down the line.
Yeah, and a little preview for like what's coming up. Like our next one's gonna be another Tarantino one. So we're doing one of those. We'll be doing uh, Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs, or possibly True Romance because he produced it too. So we
Well,
might
he
throw
wrote
one
it,
of
yeah, and yeah, he wrote and Tony Scott directed it, and yeah, it's that one's really great too. A lot of really good stuff that you'll see
Yeah,
from Tarantino.
yeah,
Yeah, all around the same time. Reservoir Dogs in '92, True Romance '93, and then yeah, '94 he just took over the world with Pulp Fiction, the one we're talking about tonight.
yeah. And so it's a little bit about Pulp Fiction before I jump in. Uh, my thoughts about the movie. So Pulp Fiction was released on October 14th, 1994. So at that time, I was 10 years old at that time. So probably a little young to be watching Pulp Fiction at that point. So uh, I waited quite a while. Waited till I was 36 years old to watch it. So that's probably about an appropriate time, right? 36 years old,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't see it till I was in my 20s, till like the probably the late 2000s, something like that. I just didn't get around to it all that often. I had seen, yeah, I just bought it. I blind bought it on DVD when I was starting to really build my collection. So yeah, it took me a while to see it as well.
Nice, nice. And anyone watching too, you can put it in the live chat. But I'm trying something different with the lighting. So like since I'm filming earlier in the day, I have the overhead light off and then with some natural lighting over from the window here. So if I look a little funny, you can just put it in the chat room. And I can flip my overhead light on. But I'm gonna try it
hmm
out, see how it goes this time. But yeah. So obviously, the movie was directed by Quentin Tarantino, and then it was executive produced by Lawrence Bender, and then written by Quentin Tarantino and also uh, Roger Avery, which is one of Quentin Tarantino's writing partners, and so yeah, he helped
Yeah, they
write it.
kind of wrote the one of the original short stories. They wrote like a short treatment of this movie that kind of spawned into Pulp Fiction, and then they kind of got sold, and Tarantino rewrote the whole thing, kind of expanded on it. But yeah, Avery was like his one of his collaborators early on that they would just kind of spit ideas back and forth.
Yeah, 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 right.
Mhm.
And the movie's kind of long, but for me, um, I didn't really feel it because they have it kind of split up into different segments, so you don't really feel
Mhm.
the length too much. So it's about well, it's officially 2 hours and 33 minutes long, but like it didn't feel that way. Like it felt like it just flew by. So
Well, it feels like
that
an
was nice.
anthology movie again because of the way he shot it. It's all these different, one of his signature things is all the chapters and kind of the segments. Like a long, for instance, they one of the big long sequences is obviously, Travolta's night out with Mia. Vincent and Mia, and they kind of it's a pretty long sequence that goes from several locations, but then it'll move on to and jump around to another segment. But yeah, the way obviously the signature of this movie is the way it's kind of shot, not really shot out of order, but like kind of presented almost out of order, and yet it still sort of flows like a narrative, and you don't really realize that till you're getting too close to the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And So I just wanted to just kind of break down the cast a little bit because like that's a pretty
Mhm.
stacked cast. Like it's pretty awesome. So you got Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer playing the two from the that you see that when the movie starts up. They're the ones that are about to rob this diner, and so in the movie they just call each other Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. Like I don't really
Yeah,
get like
Pumpkin
who
and
else.
Honey Bunny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he ends up, and then Jules ends up calling him like Ringo a little bit, but that's not really his name. But yeah, Pumpkin and Honey Bunny, we never really get their full names. It's kind of the same with a couple of people in this movie. We never really get like their full backstories or anything. We just kind of get little glimpses here and there. But obviously, they're quite a couple. They're quite a couple, aren't they, Jordan?
Yeah,
They're
right.
just chit chatting about different places to rob and why they should rob them and why
Yeah,
nobody. It's a
exactly.
kind of a famous sequence, almost like the opening of Reservoir Dogs, as well as like why nobody robs restaurants. It's always
Yeah,
banks and liquor stores and all that kind of stuff.
right, right. Yeah, and then also you have of course John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson playing Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield. So they're
Hmm.
like two like the main stars of this movie. But
Hmm.
and then you have Phil Lamar from Mad TV playing Marvin. He's the guy that gets his head blown off in the car. So
Hmm.
he's
Yeah,
there.
he
Then you
shot
also,
he shot Marvin in the face.
yeah,
It's
right.
not
Shot him in
good.
the face. Yeah, right. Yeah. And actually, speaking of that, I'm just thinking I actually uploaded a little frame from that, and we can talk about it more. But I just thought that was a pretty funny scene when he
Mm,
just turns around. He has like an innocent
yeah.
look on his face.
Oh man, I shot. Yeah, yeah,
I
really
shot him in
good to
the
put.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, he has Travolta. Yeah, Vincent has very poor trigger discipline. One of the first things they teach you when you buy a gun is to don't ever. And, well, there's several things that he breaks here. You don't ever point a gun at something unless you intend to destroy it. You don't ever put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to fire. And you always check to make sure it's the gun's not loaded. So he breaks several of those rules pretty much all at once when he's just having a little chit chat with Marvin. It's like he's
Yeah. Yeah.
literally
Right.
got
Right.
the
He
gun
doesn't know
pointed
what to
at him
check.
with his finger on the trigger for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, the guns don't just go off, by the way. He like
Yeah.
pulled
Right.
the trigger. Idiot. Yeah.
And he just kind of turns around. He's like, "So what do you think, Marvin? Like, do you think this was a miracle or
Bam.
just some random occurrence?" And just like goes off. Yeah.
Blammo.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
Goodbye, Marvin.
yeah. But then also in the cast you have Bruce Willis playing Butch Coolidge, who's this boxer character that does a pretty cool little storyline in the movie that we'll talk
Hmm.
about. And you have Ving Rhames playing Marcellus Wallace. You got Uma Thurman playing his wife Mia Wallace. And you got Harvey Keitel as the Wolf. You got Christopher Walken in there playing Captain Coons. You even have Quentin Tarantino showing up as a character named Jimmy. And then you have a little cameo from Steve Buscemi. He just plays Buddy Holly, like in a quick little
Hmm.
cameo. But yeah.
Well,
So
you
that's
also get Eric Stoltz as Lance, the drug dealer, who was kind
oh
of
yeah,
pivotal
yeah.
in a scene
That's
there.
right.
I like to Eric Stoltz is we like to call in the geek community almost Marty McFly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Because once upon a time, yep, he would have maybe
Hmm.
played it. But yeah. So before we jump into like the full plot and everything, so we got to play the Rotten Tomatoes game. So
All
I
right.
always like to do. So what do you think that the critics gave Pulp Fiction on Rotten Tomatoes? What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't look this up, so I'm going in fresh. I'm going to take into account that there is a minority that doesn't like this movie, including critically, here and there. So I'm going to say it's strong, but not like 100%. I'll go somewhere around 90, maybe 90, 91, something like that.
Yeah, you're almost spot on. They give it a 92%. So like
Okay.
you're almost
Because
right there.
there is
Yeah,
some there is some critics I remember even at the time who they weren't big fans of Reservoir Dogs either. People think that it was just too violent or he glorifies all this. There's one even I read somewhere Bob Dole, the senator that Norm Macdonald would parody, who
yeah.
admittedly didn't see the movie, said that this movie glorified heroin use. Despite the fact that
Okay.
there's a sequence where a woman literally ODs on heroin and has to get a shot in her heart. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's exactly
It's not really
glorifying
glorifying.
heroin
Yeah,
use. Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
no, it literally almost kills her, and it's pretty ugly. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's glorifying it, but yeah,
Right.
but same people who just they don't even bother to watch the movie and they just go off on it.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and
Mhm.
then also too, as I have an ambulance drive right past my
Well, they're
apartment.
going to get Mia because Mia OD'd. We gotta get her to the
Yeah, she
hospital.
just overdue. Oh, it was a fire truck. Okay, but anyways,
Fire truck.
but yeah, but so what do you think that the audience gave it on Rotten Tomatoes? Do you think that they were higher than
I think the audience
critics
is
or
pretty
lower?
high. Yeah, I would. Well, you know what? I don't know because I think most people do like this movie again, but I know there's a minority that doesn't like it. I think it's kind of disjointed and not much of a point to it. I'll go maybe a little lower than the critics, maybe like 85 or 80, something like that for audience.
So actually, the audience rated it higher than the critics. They gave it a 96 overall. So like
Okay.
the audience is very high on this movie. So
I
yeah.
know on IMDb and stuff too, it has like an 8.9. I know it's in the top 10 on the IMDb. So that's
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
pretty well loved for the most part. Yeah, I do know
It
there's some
is.
people that see it, and then it took me a while to come around on this movie too. The first time I saw it, I kind of was like, a little mixed on it, and then over time and multiple viewings, you kind of grow to appreciate everything that's going on. But Jordan, I know this is literally your first time seeing it,
Yeah.
so I mean, did you like it your first time, or are you still kind of coming to grips with it, or because I know it's a lot to take in the first time you see it.
Well, yeah. Like I really liked it. A lot, and the more that I kind of sit on it, because I probably watched it probably like a week and a half ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I really like it, but like I think that it's one of those movies that might deserve a second view just because of how some of the segments are kind of put together, and you kind of think about
Mm-hmm.
the order of things and how everything goes down. Like when I first saw it, I was just like, wait a minute, so that happens after this. This happens
Mm-hmm.
before that, and you're kind of trying to like piece it all together. And so yeah, but I still had a lot of fun with it because Quentin Tarantino is really good at like bringing like amidst of like pretty dark movies that he puts out, like he has a lot of humor that's
Mm-hmm.
involved also. So like this movie has
Well,
a fair
again,
amount of
like we were
that.
just talking about, he shoots a guy literally in the head in a car. Blood goes everywhere, but he immediately is like, "Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face!" Like you're laughing
Yeah.
at a
Oh man.
guy's
Yeah.
head
You're laughing.
basically exploding in a car, even though he
Yeah.
just shot a dude in the face, and it's super bloody and glorified. He's also doing. I mean,
Yeah.
even the opening stuff with Vince and Jules at the apartment, antagonize. They're literally like they're shooting guys. They're antagonizing this dude Brett. Like you don't even really know why. Like they just have some kind of property that needs, but like him just the back and forth, just English mother. If do you speak it?
Yeah. Right.
What do you know? What ain't no country I've heard? And like he's scary, but like you're kind of laughing at the same time because his comebacks are hilarious. So I mean, it's really sharp in that way. That like there's intimidating stuff and some really dark, crazy stuff going on, but it's also somewhat humorous, and you're kind of half laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled up a little synopsis from Rotten Tomatoes that just kind of like it kind of breaks it down like into one kind of like if you were to like sum up
Mm-hmm.
the whole movie in one paragraph, this is kind of what it would say. It's Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, and Jules Winfield, Samuel Jackson, are hitmen with a penchant for philosophical discussion. In this ultra hip, multi strand crime movie, their storyline is interwoven with those of their boss, gangster Marcellus Wallace, played by Ving Rhames, his actress wife, Mia, which is Uma Thurman, struggling boxer Butch Coolidge, which is Bruce Willis, Master Fixer Winston Wolfe, Harvey Keitel, and a nervous pair of armed robbers, Pumpkin and Honey Bunny, played by Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer. So that's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
all that it really says. So
Yeah,
that's really
it's
like
not really much of like a hardcore plot line. It's more of like a couple of days in the lives of these different characters kind of intersecting, and just sort of these little slices of life. Because there's not really like a thing where it's like, a plot where we're going from point A to point B to point C. You know what I mean? With this, and this. It's more like, the first half kind of has a little bit of a thing with like the briefcase as the MacGuffin, and a couple of things with like Butch trying to escape from Marcel. Like there's a few little plot lines you get invested in, but as far as like a complete like ABCDE plot, there's not really one, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's really just kind of following these characters and these events and these twists and turns, for just a period of a few days. Because the movie only takes place over the course of about 4 days, something like
yeah,
that. I mean, it's just a couple of days, and we just see these different segments of those couple of days.
yeah, and I like how the movie kind of opens up. Like they open up the very first thing that you see. You see this quote here, and I even brought it up here. That it's like a little definition
Mm-hmm.
here. That's like defines pulp. It's like a soft, moist, shapeless matter, and then also
Mm-hmm.
a magazine or book containing lurid subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper. So like it just kind of gives like a little tone. How like they're literally dealing with a mass of like just like shit for lack of a better word, just kind of like this
Mm-hmm.
craziness, crazy like everything's rough and tumble, everything's just this whole like
Yeah, and
pulpy
these
kind of
Pulp Fiction things
thing.
they're talking about are these old, books that just had all kinds of crazy violence or really over the top language or these sort of taboo, pieces of literature. These pieces that you didn't take too seriously, but they kind of were all over the place. They had a lot of twists and turns, and yeah, it's basically telling you kind of what you're in for, almost like. For a lot of Edgar Wright movies nowadays, where you kind of don't really know where it's going, but he'll set up a lot of plot threads, a lot of allusions to things later in the movie. Yeah, I mean, he's telling you what you're in for.
Yeah.
You're in for like it's going to be a little shapeless, it's going to throw you off a little bit, but
Yep.
you kind of
Right.
get sucked in and you want to see where it goes because you never quite know where it's going. Especially for you, Jordan, if you saw it the first time, did you really
Yeah. Right.
see some of the scenes coming? I mean, there's definitely some crazy
No,
twists and turns the movie takes throughout the whole thing.
there's some crazy stuff. I'm just like, what the heck is even happening? But I like it though. Like I like what's going on here.
Hmm.
But it's definitely entertaining. So yeah.
Hmm.
but but yeah. So we can jump into the first segment, which is Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. So like pretty much this is the part of the main segment of the movie kind of focuses mostly on those two characters, Vincent Vega and then Marcellus
Hmm.
Wallace's wife, played by Uma Thurman, and like basically on a so this is kind of where we see Vincent Vega coming back from this extended trip over to Europe. So he's talking about the Royale with cheese. That's like a famous quote.
Hmm.
Or like the Big Kahuna burger, like talking about that kind of stuff. And then they go to this apartment to get something from these two guys. You find out that it's a briefcase full of like something like diamonds or like whatever
Something.
it is. You don't really
Well,
know.
that's a question, Jordan. There are a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
fan theories. So when you saw the movie and they don't implicitly tell you what's in the briefcase, even by the end of the movie, what did you think was in the briefcase going through the movie?
I just figured that it's just a bunch of money, but like I wasn't sure though. Like I don't know.
I
So yeah,
mean,
they
have
never
you
really
heard the
say it.
theory about Marcellus Wallace's soul? Have you heard that theory?
No, no.
Okay, well, there's
Interesting.
a really out there theory, and Tarantino has pretty much just said it's whatever the audience wants it to be. He won't say what is actually in there, but there's some sort of a golden glow when they open it up. And the theory with the soul is that they open it with a combination of 666. Marcellus
Yeah.
Wallace has a bandage on the back of his neck, which, according to some old religious stuff, is where your souls get pulled out of the back of your neck, and the fact that they used to glow like that, and that he really, really, and it only belongs to him. It belongs to Marcellus Wallace. It belongs to my boss, and he has to get it back. So, I mean, that's the theories that
Okay.
it's his soul in there. But yeah, there's other
Yeah.
theories about that. It's the diamonds from Reservoir Dogs, which I know you haven't seen Reservoir
Interesting.
Dogs, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's another theory. And there's also even a theory with True Romance that it's a golden Elvis costume or one of his jackets. So I mean, there's a couple of different theories out there as to what's in the briefcase.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty interesting to think about. It's kind of like a MacGuffin or like plot device, through
Yeah, it
the
basically is
movie.
a plot device,
Yeah,
but it doesn't really factor super hard into the movie. But yeah, it's at the beginning of this movie what they're kind of going after.
yeah, yeah. So you have the whole scene where they do that, and then you have uh Jules. He kind of quotes the whole like Ezekiel, like the like
Hmm.
the verse from the Bible about bringing vengeance down. I actually have the full quote that I'll kind of share when we talk about one of the scenes near the end of the movie, so we can kind of get into it there
Hmm.
too. But yeah, so like it's something that he just kind of says before we shoot somebody, and so
Hmm.
but yeah, so they have that whole scene, and then cut to where Vincent Vega has to take Marcellus Wallace's wife, and so Marcellus Wallace goes to this fight where we assume that's where Bruce Willis's character, because he asked him to actually throw this fight so he can make some money off of it, and so he just takes her out on the town while he's at this fight essentially. So.
Well, I was actually mistaken. This was like a day in between because Vincent's actually at the fight. Later in the movie, we see him and Mia at the fight, so I was mistaken when I remembered it incorrectly that they had gone out while they were at the fight, but they're not. It's some day in between. Like it's after the bar scene where he asked him to throw the fight. Marcellus is doing some other kind of business and asks Vincent to take Mia out on the town in between. And then I think the fight is like the day after. So, because Mia and Vincent are actually at the fight backstage there when Butch escapes. Yeah. So I was mistaken about that, but I had filled it in my head that he was doing that, but he's not. But yeah, they go out. Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames as Marcellus asks to take Mia out on the town, and obviously it's a little awkward because he had heard rumors about earlier in the movie as we get the dialogue that some dude had given her a foot massage and got thrown out a window. So obviously he's on edge about hanging out with this dude's wife, and trying not to get too involved. You can tell the whole scene he's trying to keep his distance a little bit, keep the chat to kind of small talk, and not let it get any further.
Yeah. So they decided to go to this place, Jackrabbit Slim's. It's a diner where they go to get these milkshakes and like burgers and stuff, and so they're just kind of talking about. There's a quote, and I don't know the exact quote, but like they're like trying to make small talk, and then Vincent Vega, he just like was like, "Isn't it nice to?" You wish someone just be able to sit in silence and just kind of contemplate. Why do you always have to make this small talk or something like that? You kind of like alludes to that. So like, like I was just gonna say that's one of the things that I like best about this movie. Is like Quentin Tarantino and his writing partner, like they wrote some really smart dialogue, and like even for like small talk, like it's like pretty interesting. Like it keeps you engaged like the whole time. So
well, and even the thing where Mia goes to quote powder her nose in the bathroom, of course, and we all know what that actually means. Yeah, and it gets her in trouble later. But when she comes back and the food's there, and she points out that thing that we've all had at restaurants where it's like, don't you just love when you come back from the bathroom and your food is just waiting for you here? And it's just like and so and they're just talking about whatever. But even the small talk where she's just like, don't you just hate uncomfortable silences? Why is it we feel the need to just fill in every gap of silence with BS talk?
Right. So and then the place they're at, the Jackrabbit Slim, then they're having this dance contest, so she wants to be in the dance contest, so they go sign up for the dance, and the whole famous scene where they're doing all the funky dancing. They're like doing the little thing like that, and like back and forth. So like basically they're like dancing, like I don't know. Well, it kind of alluded to like they're dancing for hours, maybe. Like I don't know, but it kind of feels like it.
It feels like it because it's very trippy as far as like it gets very up and close, and it's just kind of going back and forth, and the camera's kind of circling around them. It's very like hypnotic, They're getting kind of into this. They're doing a twist contest, and the camera's almost twisting around. Then as they're twisting, exactly. But Jordan, did you notice that? This is a very subtle thing. They don't actually win the contest despite having the trophy. I don't know if you caught this or not.
Well, like I don't know if I'm remembering this right, or if I'm thinking of something totally different. Don't they get like a consolation trophy, like a small one?
No. Well, here's the thing. You see them later when they get back to the house. She has the trophy in her hands, but later on in the film, when Butch is driving around back and forth in the apartment, you hear a bulletin about how somebody stole the trophy from Jackrabbit Slim's. So really? They didn't actually win the contest, but Mia, remember what she said? I want that trophy. She said, I want that trophy and I'm going to dance. So no matter if they won or not, she wanted that trophy. And sure enough, she got that trophy.
She got it. Yeah. And so, she cut to back at her place. They come back there like all exhausted from dancing and everything. And then there's this thing like I always like to think of. So Vincent Vega always has crazy stuff go down while he's in the bathroom. Like there's something crazy. Like
Every
like
time he comes back from the bathroom, something bad happens. And the
yeah, yeah.
reason, if he, I don't know if you picked up on it, well, the reason he's always going to the bathroom is because he's a heroin user. And one of the symptoms of heroin use is you're constipated a lot and you kind of have to go to the bathroom a lot.
Okay.
So, he's always slipping off to the bathroom. But yeah, 3 different instances in the movie. He goes off to the bathroom and Mia's overdosing. He goes to the bathroom, he opens the door, he gets killed, obviously. He goes to the bathroom at the diner, he comes back out, and Pumpkin and Honey Buddy are robbing the diner.
Yeah,
So every time he slips
yeah.
off to the bathroom, something bad happens. It's a recurring motif in the film. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like basically when he comes back, she's overdosed on heroin. So like he has to like hurry and find some help. So he calls up this friend and he says like I'm in a bind. Like I need to bring her over here. And his friend like doesn't want anything to do with this, but he's like, too bad we don't have anywhere else to go. We can't go to the hospital. These are illegal drugs, like all this stuff. And so they pretty much have to bring her over to his friend's house. Forget the actor actually plays his friend, but like he looks familiar. Like I've seen him.
Eric Stoltz is Lance, or almost Marty McFly is Lance. Yeah.
Oh, that's Eric Stoltz. Okay. Yeah,
that's Eric Stoltz. Yeah, he was the guy because we see a scene.
Okay.
We see a scene earlier where he's actually selling Travolta the heroin in the little baggies, and he's selling him on. Oh, this is it's a $300 one. This is really good. This is really good. But this is like really good, and he gets stuff that's really good. And then he calls him back, because he's freaking out. He doesn't know where to go, so he goes back to the drug dealer Lance's house to try to solve the situation because Lance, because he's a drug dealer, he has some adrenaline shots in case somebody ODs at his house, which I guess in the fridge. But so they have to do some quick thinking to prevent Mia from dying right there on the spot. Because if she dies, Travolta might be in a little bit of trouble with Marcellus.
Right? So essentially, like it just comes down to them having to give her this shot of adrenaline, and like they're both kind of nervous to give it to her, but they make Vincent Vega do it. Since he's the one like what. I don't really say like responsible for it, but she was in his care kind of thing. So like so like he has to do it. And so we have the whole thing where like he says like you got to get it past the breastbone, so you got to stab this thing pretty hard. So you got to do it quick, right to the heart.
Jab it in there.
Yeah, so they jab it in there, and she wakes up. Next thing that you know, there's like an awkward car ride home. She looks like all frazzled and stuff, and they're kind of looking at each other. It's a pretty funny scene, though. But then they just agree not to talk about it really anymore and just kind of move on. So like just one of those things So so after that, we cut to the gold watch story. That's the next segment that we.
Christopher Walken, one scene of the movie, the flashback scene with Christopher Walken telling the story about the gold watch and how he had to hide it up his ass at the POW camp.
So apparently, from what I gather, so that Christopher Walken was a soldier with Butch's, which is Bruce Willis's character, but you see like a young Butch, so like he's like a little kid, and like he was a soldier with them in Vietnam, and they were prisoners. So like his dad. They said that he died of dysentery, so like he had to watch up his ass. Then Christopher Walken had to take and put up his ass for 2 years or however long it was, and then eventually he was able to make it home, so he was able to deliver the watch to his son. And then so now it's this like important possession for Bruce Willis's character, and so then you cut to Bruce Willis's character. Butch with his girlfriend played by Maria de Medeiros. I've never seen her in anything else, but she did a great job in the movie though. Like
she's mostly done a lot of foreign films, a lot of European films. Yeah, she hasn't done a whole lot of American films. Yeah, she's Fabiana. Fabiana is Butch's girlfriend. Fabiana is kind of waiting for him back at the and they're actually checked in. It's an important detail because they're checked into a motel even though they live in LA, because obviously he knew he was gonna not throw the fight, but he was gonna knock the guy out and then run away, because he was supposed to throw the fight and kind of throw everything out, because the whole thing is that he bet on himself with the money he was getting to throw the fight, because all the odds, there's a lot of dialogue about all the odds of the fight went haywire once everybody knew he was going to throw the fight. So everybody bet on the other guy, and so the odds of him winning, went to like, they don't say specifically, but it must have been like 1,000 to 1 or something. You know what I mean? Something crazy. And obviously he bets on himself and ends up killing the guy in the ring inadvertently. And he has to go meet up with Fabiana. They're going to catch a train, but there's a little problem, isn't there, Jordan? She forgot something at the apartment.
Yeah,
didn't she? On the little kangaroo.
Yeah, she forgot a little something that was very important to Bruce Willis's character, but then she doesn't understand why it's so important. So like, but so it's the gold watch, and she keeps asking her like, did you pack my father's watch? But specifically, I told you to pack the watch, and then she's like, I don't know, like I think that I packed it. I can't remember it. And she's like, no, this is very important. And he starts freaking out, starts screaming at her, just getting in her face, be like, where is it? She's like, damn it. So like he has to actually go back to his apartment to go and retrieve this watch. And so he ends up going back, and it's like kind of this whole like dangerous thing because he thinks that like some of Marcellus's crew is going to be there to try and kill him when he goes back. So
technically they are, because Vincent is waiting there in the bathroom again because he can't help but go to the bathroom very often. And actually, did you pick up the fact that Marcellus was there also? And that's why when he runs into him on the street, like he was at the apartment, he just went out for donuts and coffee. That's why, remember, when he sees him on the street, he's got donuts and coffee just down the road, and he's going to pick him up. Yeah. Because actually the gun that he uses on Vincent is not Vincent's gun, because Vincent just carries the 9mm. It's actually a Tech 9 Uzi that he uses, and that's Marcellus's gun, and he's using it.
Okay. I was gonna say like that's a big gun that they like pulls out. I'm like whoa. And then like I thought that it was like a mistake by Vincent Vega, like he left his gun sitting out on the counter or something like that. So
it's not. It's because it's not his gun. He does have his gun on him. It's in his waistband. But he got caught with his pants down, almost literally, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and it just happens that Butch just happens to get there right in the middle of where Marcellus isn't there, and he's in the. I mean, he thinks nobody's there, but he hears the. People, or he sees the gun there, so he knows somebody's there, and then he sees him come out and kills John Travolta. I mean, at this point, Jordan, did you think that was it for Travolta? I mean, because then we see him again later in the movie, obviously, and it's shot out of order. You're like, oh crap, they just shot Travolta, right?
I'm like, all right, so I guess we're gonna see like Samuel L. Jackson's character like alone, like later on or something like that. We're not gonna see them together or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but then. No, I was just going to say the moment also when he runs into Marcellus on the street when he's driving and they make eye contact right there at the intersection. Do you know what movie that's taken from? Almost shot by shot?
No, I don't know.
That's from Psycho, actually. I don't know if you've sat down and watched Psycho.
I've seen like the original one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when Janet Leigh at the beginning she's making off with the 40 grand, she's stealing it from her boss, right? And she's driving away out of town. And there's a moment where she sees her boss at an intersection, and she's going the wrong way to drop off the stuff at the bank. She's supposed to be going the other way, and they make eye contact, and then she drives away. It's basically the exact same scene. It's an homage to Psycho, and just this chance meeting, right at this intersection.
Nice. Yeah, and I didn't want to say that, like for Bruce Willis, this is probably one of like the best performances that I've seen from Bruce Willis in a while. Because as of late, Bruce Willis kind of just like takes paychecks and just kind of floats through his performances. But like he was really solid, and that you could tell like he really cared about this. Was really acting pretty well in this. So yeah,
that's back when he still cared. Jordan's back in the 90s where he still cared.
Yeah, back when he still cared. Yep. Yeah. So like basically Bruce Willis, he's able to get his dad's watch, and so he's like walking outside. He's almost kind of celebrating. He's kind of like, like I got this. Like he's pretty happy. So he gets in the car thinking he's just gonna go back and to this hotel where his girlfriend's at, but like a whole nother like story kind of goes down almost.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, he does
Yeah, he
not make
runs
it
into
to where he wants
Marcellus.
to go.
No, he goes to a place he definitely didn't want to go. Yeah, he runs into Marcellus, literally runs him over, and then he gets hurt in the same way because then his car gets wrecked, and they're having this sort of stumbling chase, through the streets of Los Angeles, and stumble into
Yeah,
this pawn shop, and then yeah, they stumble into the wrong pawn shop, let's say, with some
yeah,
very creepy dudes, with Maynard and Zep, and was this the moment where you were just like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what
yeah,
is
yeah.
happening?
Like, like, whoa, this is crazy. What the frick? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like basically though, yeah. So that ends up in the pawn shop, and so like you see Bruce Willis because when he ran over uh, Marcellus Wallace with his car, he kind of knew that like he's probably gonna end up crashing it, like if he did that, but like
Mhm.
so like so when he gets into the pawn shop, he's just covered in blood everywhere. So like it's kind of just like a
Mhm.
crazy thing. And so, but the pawn shop guy just pulls out a gun at him, and then puts him downstairs in the basement, and kind of ties him up. And then Marcellus Wallace sees him and like chases him in there, and then he uh, puts him at gunpoint. So they're both tied up. Next scene, you see they're in the basement of this pawn shop,
Mhm.
and they're both tied up at gunpoint. And so they're and they both look pretty pissed off. They're not happy about the whole
No.
situation. Yeah, yeah. So you can like literally see like the like anger in like both their eyes, like they're like madmen ready to kill or something. And so
Mhm.
they but yeah, so then the pawn shop owner calls up one of his friends. I guess it must be some kind of partner or business
Mhm.
person that they worked with. So this guy comes down and they're like, so like we're gonna do something. Uh, uh, I said these guys, he's like, how are you going to handle this? So something's about to go uh, uh, down to like, who's going to go first? And they're doing eeny, meeny, miny, moa, just kind of back and
Mhm.
forth, trying to figure out who it's going to be. And so ends up being Marcellus Wallace is first. And so, like, this is when it kind of gets really kind of batshit crazy because they like pull this guy out from the other room. And he's in some kind of leather kind of like
It's
one
the Gimp,
dominatrix
man. What?
like
It's the
suit
Gimp.
kind of thing. Yeah, right. So they bring him up and they tie him up with his hands kind of like on something like above like the ceiling or something like that, and then they kind of leave him there and they go off in the other room with Marcellus Wallace, and so like Bruce was like just kind of looking at this guy like what in the f is going on here. And so finally though, like it's always one of those scenes where like every time someone's tied up they find some way to like escape, like they find a way to
Mhm.
break the chair or like get out of
Yeah.
the ropes or whatever. So like Bruce Willis, he wakes up and he well, no. So like he not wakes up, but he breaks the chair, and then uh uh he tries to make an escape, and then he punches the like guy on the dominatrix suit, knocks him out. Then he goes upstairs and he's like looking through all the stuff in the pawn shop, some kind of weapon that can go and like kill these guys because like
Well,
he's really
he's
pissed
well.
off.
I mean, at first he's ready to just leave. At first, though, Jordan, like he's
Yeah,
trying to
right.
escape. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
because the guy who's in the basement, Marcellus Wallace, is trying to kill him. So he's
yeah,
like he's about to escape. He's literally got the keys to the motorcycle, and he kind of stops for a second. And I think it's just a guy code. Okay, he's just like
yeah,
this dude. As much as I hate him, does not deserve what's coming. Like no guy needs to be put in that position. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because literally, well, I mean, we'll just get to it. Maynard, the other guy that comes into the scene, is raping him in the
yeah,
basement. I
right.
mean, yeah,
Yeah,
straight up. And
yeah,
he's like, so he kind of, all right, he goes back and he has this moment of conscience where he's like, okay, I'm gonna go save this guy. And yeah, he's going through the pawn shop looking for a weapon. He's got like a hammer. There's a little mini
yeah.
chainsaw, a baseball bat, and he sees a samurai sword, and he goes with the samurai
Right.
sword, and it's time to
Samurai
go take
sword
care of
about
some
the.
business. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh huh.
Yeah, so basically he just goes down and he takes out the two guys, the two like pawn shop guys, and then pretty much saves Marcellus Wallace. And so you see how pissed off Marcellus Wallace is about the whole situation, but he doesn't go after Bruce Willis because Bruce Willis essentially saved him in the moment. And so
Hmm.
he's like, so well, like Bruce Willis is like, so what's gonna happen between us?
Yeah.
Like are we good? He's like, yeah, we're straight. Like we're
Yeah, we're good.
We're,
But
we're good.
you have lost your LA privileges. You leave
Yeah,
tonight,
right.
you
Right.
never come back, and you don't ever tell
Yeah.
anybody about this. This stays between us. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then he
He's like,
says
sure, yeah.
he's gonna get medieval on Maynard's ass, and he's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
make the last few moments of his life the most painful of his whole life. So yeah, he's you can only imagine. It's only implied what's gonna happen to the rapist Maynard, but I'm sure it was not good. It involved pliers and a blowtorch, so I'm assuming it was not
Yeah, right.
very fun.
Right, right. Yeah, right. Are we gonna castrate him or something crazy like that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
something crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so uh, Bruce Willis, he goes back to the hotel they're staying at. He gets his girlfriend, and then he doesn't have his car anymore because his car's wrecked. So he just steals the guy's chopper that's outside, the motorcycle, and like he just kind of just like takes off on that, which looks pretty cool. Like it looks kind of badass on the chopper. And then one of my favorite quotes though is when he goes back to like uh to his girlfriend. She's like, "Whose motorcycle is this?" And she's like, it's not a motorcycle, it's a chopper."
Maybe it's a chopper.
He's like, "Whose chopper is this?" It's like, "It's Zed." He's like, "Who's Zed?" Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
So
Like
it's
it's kind
dead,
of
baby.
yeah. So it's like kind of
Yep.
one of those things where like, well, so there's an actual techno artist that's called uh, Zed's dead. It's a pretty uh, popular kind of EDM artist, and
Mhm.
so I imagine that's where they got the name for it because we used to have this job setting up for concerts. One of the concert that we set up was at CenturyLink Field with the Seahawks play. They have a big indoor area too that's like pretty much like almost on the size of the football field itself. Like it's this huge indoor area, and so I got to help set up for this giant rave that they're having there. And it was Zed and Zed's Dead, so they're like two like different artists that kind of have similar names. So they're doing some kind of Halloween thing, and it was pretty cool because the Halloween thing like had all these carnival rides and like a really spooky kind of like horror theme to it that was really professionally done. So like that was a lot of fun. But I imagine that's where they got the Zed's Dead problem. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the end of
But
that.
then we cut kind of almost back to the beginning of the movie, right, Jordan, with Jules and Vince at the apartment. From there, and you were probably like, okay, what's going on? We're back to this. Like this is like the beginning of the movie, right?
Next one,
With Vince and Jules, right?
yeah, the next segment they call it the Bonnie situation is what it's called. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
But we come back to the beginning, and yeah, they have the guy that comes. There's a guy in the bathroom we didn't know about that kind of comes out and shoots at Vince and Jules and completely misses for whatever reason, and then they kill him. And Jules is convinced it's some kind of divine intervention, some kind of miracle, and they kind of have this back and forth about is it a miracle, is it not a miracle, and and Vince is just like, dude, whatever, man, we're alive, like who cares? Let's just get out of here.
Right.
And that's where we get the obviously a few minutes later we get. I shot Marvin in the face, and then they have to deal with that situation because obviously at that point they're driving around in a car that they themselves are covered in blood. There's blood all over the car. There's a dead body, and that's not very conducive to Johnny Law, as they say, riding around. And they've got to take care of the situation, and that's where they meet Jimmy, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, when they shoot this guy in the face, it doesn't just shoot him in the head. Like his head like literally explodes like everywhere. So
well, that's a signature Tarantino thing. If you've seen Django or Hateful Eight, people don't just get shot in the head; their head explodes somehow every time they get shot.
Yep. So that's when they have to go over to Jimmy's place. It's this whole thing where he wants him to kind of help him figure out what they're going to do with his body, like how they're going to dispose of it. And so then like Jimmy's pretty adamant. My wife's going to be home in 2 hours. We got 2 hours to deal with this, or like whatever. And so like he's really worried that like his wife's going to come home. And he's like, if my wife comes home, she sees a dead body here. I'm gonna get divorced, and I don't want to get divorced. So like we need to
That's
clean
one of the
this up
funniest
fast.
things to me, Jordan, is it's not about I'm going to call the police or I'm going to go to jail for housing a dead body. It's I'm going to get
Yeah,
divorced, okay? And I
yeah,
don't want to get
right.
divorced. I don't want to
Yeah,
separate
right.
from my wife, okay? I don't want
Yeah,
to get
I'm
divorced. Like
sorry.
he's more worried about
Yeah,
getting divorced than going to jail. Like that's
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
funnier things about that scene. That was like that's his primary concern is that she's going to see it and he's going to get divorced. I just thought that was like the
Yeah,
funniest thing.
right, right, yeah. But Jules actually he remembers that there's this guy that can help him out with the situation. So he calls this guy they call the Wolf, and the Wolf's played by Harvey Keitel, and he's actually my
Hmm.
favorite character in this movie. Like I thought he
Hmm.
was awesome the way that he just comes in and just helps him clean up this dead body. He does it like in a real like precise kind of just
Hmm.
like method way of doing it. Like he knows exactly what to do, exactly how to do
Yep.
it. So like pretty much he comes in like he's the teacher. So he's like here's what I want you to do, and here's what I want you to do over here. You got to do this, and he's like breaking it all down,
Hmm.
telling him exactly
Hmm.
what they're supposed to do. So like he knows exactly how
Yeah.
to be able to get
And
away with this type of thing.
one of my favorite exchanges is there is he's giving Vince and Jules some instructions. You got to clean this, you got to clean that. And he goes, and Travolta kind of gets a little smart with him. He's just like, please would be nice, please.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's
please.
just like, listen, I'm trying to tell you how to keep you guys out of jail and get this done, blah. And he at the very end, he just goes, so pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the effing car.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right now. And yeah.
yeah,
And they have to get it. Yeah, they have to get it taken care of. Jimmy's got to loan him some linen so they can cover up the upholstery and all kinds of stuff and make the car presentable. Yeah, so they can get
yeah.
rid of the situation.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines, kind of back and forth with the Wolf too, that I wrote down here, that where it's like, uh, we're kind of like introducing and stuff to everyone. He's like, you must be Jules, which would make you Vincent. So let's get down to brass tacks here, gentlemen. If I was informed correctly, the clock is ticking. Is that right, Jimmy? He's like, oh yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
He's like, well, your wife Bonnie comes home at 9:30 a.m. Is that right? And he's like, uh-huh. He's like, if I was led to believe that if she comes home and she finds us here, she wouldn't appreciate that too much. It's like, no, she wouldn't at that. And she's like, you're lucky to exactly uh, uh, 40 minutes to get the F out of Dodge, which if you do exactly what I say, it
When I say it, how I say it.
yeah, and how I say it should be plenty of time. Now you got a corpse in the car minus a head. So he's like, just follow my lead and leave it to me or whatever he says. Yeah. So
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
like he just gonna tell them like we got 40 minutes to deal with this. We're gonna make sure that it's a clean thing, and then we're gonna walk away from this. No one's gonna be in any trouble, any of that stuff. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So like they do it, and yeah, they have a pretty precise way of doing everything, but by the end of it, you wouldn't even know that somebody just got their head blown off. So
No, basically, and then yeah, they dump the car, they dump the body at the junkyard that he knows, and they dispose of the body. And by the way, did you catch one of our SNL alums, like from Live from Movie Hero, in that scene?
no,
Did you catch Julia Sweeney at the junkyard? Who was
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
The Wolf's girlfriend? Yeah, it was. It's Pat herself. Yeah, Julia
it's
Sweeney
bad. Yeah.
was. Yeah, just for a second, and then were you starting to put it together though, Jordan? Because after this scene, they were given the dorky clothes, as Jimmy puts it. They look like dorks,
Yeah,
wearing
right.
these goofy shorts and these little college T-shirts. And then we had
Yeah, they
seen
were.
them in those clothes at the bar earlier in the movie. Did you start to kind of put together that it was kind
Yeah,
of
that makes sense
a little
now.
weird? Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, they're wearing those clothes earlier. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So like I said, they look like a couple of dorks. So yeah,
Yeah, a couple of dorks.
dorks, yeah. But yeah. So on the next scene though, they just kind of part ways, and then yeah, Vincent and Jules, they want to go out to breakfast, so they're gonna go uh, back to this diner, and then that's where some more crazy stuff goes down because you have Pumpkin and Honey Bunny in there trying
Well,
to
did you
rob
have a nice little revelation here, Jordan, where you're like, "Oh, wait, this diner looks a little familiar," and then
Yeah,
you hear Tim Roth in the back going, "Garcon, coffee," and you're like, "Oh no, something's about to go down, right?"
yeah. Yep. So So yeah, and there's another one of those moments where like when they rob the place, Vincent's in the bathroom again. So like,
Mm-hmm.
like always something crazy happens when he goes to rob the place. But yeah, but like here though, like this is one of my favorite scenes, just because like there's so much awesome dialogue, just like the back and
Mm-hmm.
forth that like yeah, just like them kind of just like talking about well like whether they just witnessed a miracle and then
Mm-hmm.
like like Vincent just says it's a freak occurrence, and then they like start talking about like how he doesn't want to eat pork anymore. He thinks a pig is a filthy animal or something. But
Pork
then
tastes good. Pork chops taste
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Bacon tastes
it
good.
tastes good. Yeah, yeah. But then he's like, well, would you consider a dog a filthy animal? He's like, well, not necessarily, you know. So they're kind of getting into it back and forth, you know. But yeah,
Dogs
yeah,
have personality. Personality goes a long way with me. He's like, so
yeah,
if a
yeah,
pig had a personality, you wouldn't consider it a filthy animal anymore. He's just like, whatever, get out of here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so like basically though, like he has to go use the bathroom, and then that's where they try to rob the place, and then so they're like going around collecting everybody's wallets, and then they come over to Jules, and like Jules isn't gonna have it, like even though he kind of decides that like he doesn't want to like do crime anymore, they wants to go and like walk the earth or whatever, but like still
Mm-hmm.
like he still kind of tells him what's up though, just really in
Mm-hmm.
like a pretty cool way. I write down the like dialogue, but I'm trying to like find exactly where I put it here. So just give me one
Mm-hmm.
second, because it's like one of my like favorite lines of dialogue. But there is. Let's see.
Tell her to be cool. Tell her bitch to be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
What's
right,
it?
right,
What's it gonna be?
right.
Ask her what is Fonzie? What's Fonzie? He's cool. Correctamundo. He's cool, and that's what we're gonna be.
Oh, that's when he says that. Correcto mundo, man. Yeah, yeah.
Correctamundo. That's what we're gonna be.
It's like not a lot of people could like deliver that
Mm-hmm.
with that type of line, kind of cool like that, though. Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's why Sam Jackson's awesome.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I have it
If he
here,
takes your
but
$1,500, I'm gonna shoot her on principle, Jules, and he ain't gonna do a damn thing. Put your gun down, Vincent.
oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so I got it here. Yeah, where's like now Yolanda, we're not gonna do anything stupid here, are we? He's like talking to the other girl,
Mm-hmm.
like girl, because he asked her what her name is. What's her name? He's like, Honey Bunny, tell me your name. He's like, what's Yolanda? He's like, nobody's gonna hurt anybody. We're gonna be like three little Fonzies here. And what's Fonzie like? He's like, come on, Yolanda, what's Fonzie like? And he's like, he's cool. He's like, what? He's cool. He's like,
Correctamundo.
Mundo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like we're gonna be cool. Well, now, Ringo, I'm gonna count to three, and when I count to three, you're gonna let go of your gun and sit your ass down. But when you do it, you're gonna do it cool. All right, ready? One,
Mm-hmm.
two, three. So he like sits down, and then
Mm-hmm.
he's like, all right. And you let him go. That's what like Yolanda's screaming, and then I said, he's like, Yolanda, I thought you said you were gonna be cool. Then when you yell at me, it makes me nervous. When I get nervous, I get scared. And when a mother effer gets scared, that's when a mother effer accidentally gets shot. He's like, you know,
Yeah.
he's like, you touch him, you die. And he's like, well, that seems to be the situation, but I don't want to. I don't want that. Ringo here definitely doesn't want that. And then he like tells him about the Ezekiel quote. I just read it off because it's a really kind of cool, kind of like Bible.
Not biblically
Verse where he
accurate. It's a
says,
little
no, no,
exaggerated. There's a few things added to it, but
yeah,
yes.
yeah, right. So
The
like how
path
he
of the
actually said,
righteous man is beset
yeah,
upon all sides.
yeah. It was like the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of the darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance
Vengeance and furious anger.
and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. You will know I am the
No
Lord
mind in the
when I lay
world
my
when I
vengeance
lay my
upon
vengeance upon thee. No, I
you.
mean, and it's one of those things where only somebody like Sam Jackson could deliver that, and it'd be kind of believable. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it would sound a little ridiculous. Anybody else just kind of
Yeah,
delivering it.
right. And like what he says after too, where he's like, I've been saying that shit for years, and if you ever heard it, well, it means your ass. And he's like, I never really questioned what it meant. I just thought it was a cold-blooded thing to say to a mother effer before you pop a cap in his ass. But he's like, I saw some shit this morning, made me think twice. And I'm thinking, it could mean that you're an evil man, and I'm the righteous man. And Mr. 45 here, he's the shepherd protecting my righteous ass in the valley of darkness. Or it could be that you're the righteous man, and I'm the shepherd, and it's the world that's evil and selfish. And I'd like that, but that shit ain't the truth. The truth is that you're weak, and I'm the tyranny of evil men. So I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to be
Trying
the shepherd.
real hard to be the shepherd.
Real hard to be the shepherd. Yeah, but yeah. So like, that's like one of my favorite lines of dialogue from the movie. Like I just thought that,
Mhm.
like, like delivered by Samuel Jackson. It was just super cool though. So, but like,
Yeah.
basically though, like the, and there's the whole thing where like he's like trying to get him to hand over the briefcase, and you think you're going to be able to see what's actually in the briefcase because he opens it up, but then you just see like a glowing kind of light from it, and then
Mhm.
you never really get to see what's
Well,
actually
there's
in it.
another couple of hints. He's just like, because Ringo goes, "Is that what I think it is?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what you think it is." And you
yeah,
still don't get to see it. You just see the glow from the briefcase, and that's when he says, he goes, "I give it to you, but it ain't mine. You can't have it. It doesn't belong to me. But he goes, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in there that bag and get my wallet. Which one is it? This one says bad mother effer on it."
yeah, right.
And he
It
pulls
actually
it
says
out,
it on
and
there, though, like for
it
real. It
actually
says it
says
on
it,
there.
and that was Tarantino's real wallet that he got somewhere and that he put in
Oh,
the
was
movie. Yeah, it
okay.
was Tarantino's actual wallet. Yes, and so it was kind of a Shaft throwback wallet,
Yeah,
which actually Sam Jackson would go on to play Shaft in the remake.
yeah, right.
But yeah, and yeah, so he gets the money out of there, gives him about $1,500, and tells him to take it, and that's a pretty good score, and get out
Yeah,
of here, and they get out of there because they don't want to die at that point. So yeah, and
yeah,
they make off with the money, and despite all that, Vincent and Jules just kind of let him go, and they stroll on out of the diner too, and that's pretty much the end of the movie.
yeah, right.
Credits roll after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
The one thing that I was surprised about though is that like Samuel Jackson just hands over the money, just gives it to him because like I guess money doesn't really matter to him anymore or something like
He
that. So
doesn't
he
care
just
about.
hands
Well,
it
it's a
over.
whole thing about him. Yeah, he doesn't care about it anymore. He's ready to retire. He's done with this whole life. He just wants to, like I said, he just wants to be a drifter. He wants to walk the earth, and just see where life takes him at this point. He's just kind of done with it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So I just wanted to just mention just a couple of my favorite quotes from the movie, which I wrote down a few here. So like one of them was like at kind of near the beginning of the movie where they're going to the first apartment building to confront those guys, and then they start talking about like a foot massage or whatever, and so
Mm-hmm.
like just like the whole like back and forth because like in the beginning I really liked it too because they're doing all this small talk, but it's like pretty interesting like the small talk they're actually
Mm-hmm.
doing, and so he's like, but like basically though they're like talking about how Marcellus Wallace almost killed a guy because he was giving his wife a foot massage or something like that, and so like
Mm-hmm.
Jules was like, whoa, stop right there. He's like eating a bitch out and giving a bitch a foot massage ain't even the same effing thing. He's like, it's not, but it's in the same ballpark. he's like,
Yeah.
he's, he's like, he says, it ain't no effing ballpark neither. Now you look, maybe your method of massage differs from mine, but touching a wife's feet and sticking your tongue in the holiest of holies ain't the same effing ballpark. It's like it ain't the same league. It ain't even the same effing
Same
sport.
sport.
Look,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, look, foot massages don't mean shit. And then like Vincent's like, have you ever given a foot massage? He's like, don't be telling me about about foot massages. I'm the foot effing master. He's like, oh, so
I got
you're
my
giving a lot
technique
of them?
down and everything. I don't
Yeah,
even be tickling or nothing.
yeah, right. He's like, would you give a guy a foot massage? And he's like, F you. He's like, you give him a lot, and he's like, F you. He's like, I'm getting kind of tired because I could use a foot massage myself. And he's like, yo, you best back off. He's like, I'm getting pissed here. He's like, look, just because I wouldn't give no man a foot massage, don't make it right for Marcellus to throw Antoine into a glass mother effing house. He's like, mother effing. He's like effing up the way that he effing talks. That shit ain't right. Right, you mother effer. He's like, do that shit to me. He better be paralyze my ass because I killed the mother effer. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, I ain't saying that it's right, but you're saying a foot massage don't mean nothing. I'm saying that it does. And look, I've given a million ladies a million foot massages, and they all meant something. We act like they don't, but they do, and that's what's so effing cool about them. There's a sensuous thing going on where you don't talk about it, but you know it. She knows it. Effing Marcellus knew it, and Antoine should have effing better known. I mean, that's his effing wife, man. He can't be expecting to have a sense of humor about that shit. You know what I'm saying? He's like, that's an interesting point you got there. So yeah, but like basically, yeah, like I just like the like back and forth because if you think about it, like a foot massage really doesn't mean much, but like
Yeah.
but like low-key, like it kind of does, kind of, sort of
Yeah.
not, So yeah,
Mhm.
so there's that, but then also too, like when they're what like the whole dialogue when he shoots the guy in the face though, like that was one of the other ones I wrote down where it's like, where like when he shoots him, he has this kind of like with the little picture that I brought up before, like he has the kind of innocent look on his face that I can bring up one more time. Where you can kind of see like the kind of innocence
Yeah.
on his face,
Hmm.
but and he's like, whoa. He's like, what the F's happening, man? He's like, oh shit, man. He's like, oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. He's like, why the F do you do that? He's like, well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. He's like, oh man, I've seen some crazy ass shit in my time. He's like, chill out, man. I told you it was an accident. You probably just went
You
over a
say a
bump
bump
or
or
something.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, the car didn't hit no mother effing bump. He's like, hey, look, man, I didn't mean to shoot the son of a bitch. The gun went off. I don't know why. He's like, well, look at this effing mess, man. We're on a city street in broad daylight here. He's like, I don't believe it. He's like, well, believe it now, mother effer. We got to get this car off the road. You know, cops tend to notice shit like this when you're driving a car drenched in blood down the effing road. He's like, just take it to a friendly place. That's all. This is the valley, Vincent. Marcellus ain't got no friendly places in the valley. It's like, Jules, this ain't my effing town, man. He's like, shit, and then he like calls his friend uh, Jimmy to take the body over to Toluca Lake or whatever. So
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, those are just some of my like favorite quotes from the movie.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
all the dialogue's awesome. Just go read the transcript of the movie because it's all great,
yeah,
and that's one of the things that's known about it. Like all the line, the Tarantino's dialogue is really good in his movies. It's kind of what he's known for at this point. Yeah, it's just one of those things.
really solid.
So yeah.
But yeah, but you're saying that you might have a few fun facts, maybe some like trivia
Sure,
about.
yeah, I got some trivia facts. So if you're curious as to what the actual chronological order of the movie is, it kind of goes like this. If you were to put it in a order, so obviously the watch monologue, Christopher Walken would be first because it's a flashback. The actual the opening stuff with Vince and Jules in the apartment would be next. Marvin getting shot in the face, the whole wolf situation, all that stuff would be next. Them going to the diner after that and the robbery at the diner would be the next chunk of situations. Then going from there to the bar with Butch and Marcellus talking about the fight would be the next thing in chronological order, followed by the night with Mia, with Travolta and Mia going out of the town, then the actual boxing match and all the stuff with Butch and Marcellus and that whole plot thread. And the actual final shot of the movie, if you were doing a chronological order, would be Butch and Fabiana riding off on the chopper. Would be the actual final shot of the movie.
Oh yeah. I'm sure somewhere there's got to be a cut somewhere where like some.
Well, somebody apparently did that. Somebody put it in order and put it on YouTube, but it was yanked very quickly because you can't just upload Pulp Fiction to YouTube because that's a copyrighted film. But I mean, I'm sure somebody out there has actually edited it and put it on a disc. But again, it's sort of like those special editions of Star Wars that people have done where they've taken out all the CGI where it's not technically legal. So I'm sure you could find it somewhere if you wanted to watch it in chronological order, much like somebody put Godfather 1 and 2 in chronological order and put it out there as like the Godfather epic. But anyway, so but as far as a couple of things, a few casting notes, Tarantino wanted Michelle Pfeiffer for Mia at first, and they didn't get to Uma Thurman until down the line because she was coming off of Catwoman, things like that, Batman Returns and some other things. She's a big fan of her. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, our actress from Seinfeld, was actually offered the role as well, although I can't see her overdosing on heroin. That would be very strange for Elaine from Seinfeld. Let's see, Harvey Keitel, he wrote The Wolf specifically for Keitel and was able to get him because obviously he was in Reservoir Dogs, and Keitel actually helped kind of get the funding for the movie and really stood up for Tarantino, getting releases, things like that. He's a big proponent for him because of Reservoir Dogs. Michael Madsen, who was in Reservoir Dogs as well as Mr. Blonde, was originally going to be in the Vincent role, and here's an interesting tie-in with Reservoir Dogs is that his character's last name in that movie is Vega. They are brothers. Vincent and Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs are brothers, and it was going to be at one point a prequel movie about the Vega brothers, and so it was originally Michael Madsen was going to be Vincent Vega. Let's see. So I mean, there's a lot of things where there's a Tarantino verse, kind of all these movies sort of tie together in little ways, much like Kevin Smith's movies and the MCU, all that kind of stuff like that. He was kind of doing it before a lot of people as well, tying in all of his movies with little lines in here and there, little things in the background. The guy in the bar, the bartender, Paul, my name is Paul, and this is between y'all. If you remember the bartender guy, he was going to be Jules. He did a great audition there. Actor's name is Paul Calderon, and they actually really liked his audition as Jules. And then Sam Jackson came back and auditioned a second time with a burger and a drink, and was so intimidating when he was drinking and eating while delivering the lines that they then gave the role back to him. There's a line. And there's a thing about where Travolta's talking about when he's with Lance about his car getting keyed up, and it's pretty much implied that Butch did that when he left the bar because they don't like each other. They kind of exchanged a few little lines here and there, and they kind of do that. We talked about the briefcase, kind of the theories about that. The scene where she got stabbed with the thing was actually done reverse, so it was shot reverse ways where he's actually pulling it out, and they just shot it in reverse to make that happen. So it's one of those movie magic things. And then there's a bunch of movies that have kind of ripped off or taken the style. Boondock Saints, Go, The Way of the Gun, Get Shorty, things like that. And there's also a lot of things almost in Edgar Wright style with Marcellus kind of alluding to his fate in the basement. He's always talking about ass this and ass that, but ass over here, ass, and then also the fact that Marcellus don't like to be effed by anybody except Mrs. Wallace. Well, he gets effed by somebody else besides Mrs. Wallace. So there's little things throughout the movie that when you go back and watch it kind of allude to that. And then just a little Oscar thing, 7 Oscar nominations. It only won 1, even despite being nominated for 7, 1 for a screenplay. So Tarantino got his first Oscar for the writing the screenplay, but it was nominated for picture. Travolta, Jackson, Uma Thurman, directing, and editing. It was all nominated.
Okay.
But Best Picture that year went to Forrest Gump, even though Shawshank Redemption was also nominated.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of like a crazy year for the Oscars. There's some big names in that particular.
Yeah, no, Shawshank, Forrest Gump, and Pulp Fiction all in the same year. That's stiff competition all around. Yeah. No.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Oh, and by the way, it also $8.5 million budget and worldwide made $213 million. This is a big hit for Miramax. Hence why Tarantino pretty much had a free pass for the rest of his career to make basically whatever he wanted and have full creative control.
Yep. That makes sense for sure. But yeah, like this is a movie that I definitely want to give a second watch to, just to kind of see
Mhm.
all the little things that I miss and see how it like all lines up, kind of thing. But like, so if I were to give it an overall rating, like I'll give my rating first. Like even like without doing the second rewatch, like I'd rate it high. Like I love this movie. This is probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie I've ever seen, and I've seen about 5 of them now. And so I've seen all
Mhm.
the like probably the last half of his career, and like this is the best that I've seen so far. So like
Mhm.
this movie really blew me away. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, and like uh on a second a rewatch for me, like this movie has the potential to maybe make my top 20 movies of all time, possibly. Like I really love this movie. Like I had a great time watching it. So yeah,
Mhm.
but if you were to rate it out of 10, what would you give it, Austin?
Oh, it's an easy 10. I've seen this movie
Yeah,
probably 20 times. I get something out of it every time. Like I said, I always notice something different. There's even something I noticed this time when he's holding up the keys, the Z keys with the big Z on it. There's a
yeah.
Killian's Red bottle, and he's blocking out part of the middle of the Killian's Red so that it says "Kill Z." I mean, that's
Oh,
how
really?
smart this
Okay.
movie. That's how
Oh, yeah,
smart this
right.
movie is,
Yeah,
and how
100%.
little the little things that are so great. Yeah, I get something out of it every time. It's not in my personal favorite movies, only because I don't go back to it as much as I go back to like Django Unchained or The Hateful Eight or some of his other films.
Yeah.
But like, I still, yeah, I would watch this movie anytime. I even on the rewatch today, this morning, I got really sucked into it and was just enjoying every bit of it. Yeah, it's really really great, and especially great after you go back to it every now and then.
And a little bit of a breath of fresh air because we got another show coming up immediately after this. We're going to be talking about some of the worst movies ever made. We've been doing a little watch of like some of the like really horrible,
Hmm.
just like movies that like literally have like little to no redeeming qualities. But we wanted to do a little studying because
Hmm.
we're just dedicated to the the show. We want to actually have seen some of these movies, and so yeah, we're doing that. But then to go back to Pulp Fiction was like kind of like a breath of fresh air. You're like, oh, something good. All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
something good. And amongst all the garbage, yeah, that I watched this
Yeah.
weekend. Yes, it was a pleasure to go back to anything good, especially Pulp Fiction. Yeah, really, really great classic, modern classic, and it's stood the test of time so far. 25, almost 30 years later now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. So, we're looking forward to the next one, whatever we decide to do. So the next one's either going to be Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, or True Romance. We haven't decided yet, but I haven't seen either of those three. So
Well,
those
and
will be
also, if you want
to
to take a
watch
break
later.
from Tarantino, we can talk about a movie that you said you haven't seen. One of the other Best Picture nominees from the same year of Shawshank Redemption. Then maybe at that
Right?
point you could
Yeah,
decide
I haven't seen that
because
one either.
you've seen Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah,
So
Forrest Gump's one of my favorites. I love
well,
Forrest
here's one of the things. Then maybe after you see Shawshank, you can decide. Well, should Forrest Gump have won Best Picture that year, or should have been Shawshank or Pulp Fiction? And you could fill in
Gump.
that
Right.
gap.
Because like so many people, uh, always give it to Shawshank Redemption, but I've never seen it before. So I'm like I don't know about that. Like Forrest Gump's really good. So like Shawshank must be like really good.
Shawshank's really good too. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's a reason
yeah,
it's number one on the IMDb Top 100. A lot of
yeah.
people
Right.
really like it. It's
Yeah.
really really good. But yeah, we'll
Yep.
get
Yep.
around to it.
But yeah. So I guess we're gonna be just jumping right into our next show. But is there anything quick you want to promote? Because I mean, we'll probably promote on our other show
Not
too.
much. We'll promote it on the next show. So yeah, stop by on Tournament Fights here coming up very very shortly, probably within the next 15 minutes, and we'll check it out and talk about some really bad movies. Yeah, like you said, going from a really great movie, excellently made, excellently written, to some real garbage pile movies. So yeah, we're gonna take them out to the junkyard, the trash yard, and dispose of them one by one here in Tournament Fights. And get rid of them
Yep.
all. But yeah, no. Just join us on Tournament Fights, and we've got another one coming up later this week. Yeah, Tournament Fights, Tier Ranker Fights, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say that like kind of how the progression goes. So we have about 3 monthly shows we've been doing. So well, it's kind of been going week by week. So we did blind spots this week. Probably next week we'll get back to our Seinfeld show.
Hmm.
Hello from Movie Hero. So that'll
Yeah, gotta get back to
be
Seinfeld.
yeah, and then we'll move on to our live from Movie Hero, which is obviously our Saturday Night Live show. So probably next week you'll see a hello from Movie Hero and the Seinfeld show. So that's kind of what's coming up as far as the monthly show goes. So I'll just say that, and then we have a bunch of other shows that we do. You can find us all over the all the social media. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Movie Hero 2121, and then also in the group Schmodown Friends and Family. You can find us over there. So we'll definitely be posting the schedule, what's coming up next for the channel. So, but yeah, with that, I think we'll do it for us tonight. So for Austin, I've been Jordan Movie Hero Anderson, and we'll see you next time.